And we're live, ladies and gentlemen, once again here on the PWP Nation YouTube page for the second episode of World of Wrestling. And I'm here with my guest tonight. You may know him, you may not, I don't know. He's pretty famous in the IWC and maybe infamous is the right word to use. I don't know if I think infamous might be the right word, but welcome to the World of Wrestling. Our second episode. Welcome, DJ Storms. What's up, dude?
Yeah, I would normally say that you're doing a fairly decent job with that intro. It was an okay intro, but let me tell you something. No one does an intro better than Mr. Controversy himself. So, for those of you who do not know who I am, please allow me to introduce myself. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the one and only DJ Storms, and I would like to welcome you to PWP Nation YouTube channel. We're live on YouTube.com. Now, if you don't know some of the names that they call me, well, they call me Mr. Controversy and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle Wait for it. Wait for it. To mankind, Jay Leto. I would like to thank you for having me on PWP Nation YouTube channel. I'm assuming we got a lot of material to dissect and talk about. You already know DJ Storms brings the fire wherever he goes.
That indeed you do, sir, and I'm happy to have you. Thanks for doing this. I've done your podcast a couple times, and I hope to continually have you on this show for years to come and vice versa. But what we're going to do tonight is about a half hour, maybe a little bit more, who knows, but we're going to do about a half hour, and I want to dive right into stuff with you, because as I mentioned before we went live on the air, that it is kind of a big news day in wrestling. There's a few big news topics, and I like to pick on my old buddies over there at Fightful.com, and I gave them some credit yesterday, did a couple corrections, but this website is really good, I would say, as far as going through the news in kind of a rational formula and not really being too propaganda filled, even though if you look closely, you're going to find some stuff like that, but they do a good job overall. So a site that I like to talk about, and let's just jump right into this kind of weird situation that happened today. And I'm going to click on this link here to Synergy Pro Wrestling founder Patrick Shea leaves wrestling after being revealed as a registered offender. And this hit hard this morning. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I got this news, DJ Storms, and then you can go into your thoughts on it after I read the little press release here. But I'm in a group chat with a lot of the guys from GTS Wrestling, as you might know, Grimm's Toy Show. And they posted this morning. And the reaction was a lot of anger. A lot of people were pissed off. So let's read this story real quick. Synergy Pro Wrestling has shut down after it was revealed the owner, Patrick Shea, is a registered offender in New Jersey. Shea was convicted in 1999 of aggravated criminal contact, with the details saying registrant assaulted 3 male acquaintance between very young ages. Also in a separate case, registrant assaulted a young male acquaintance. So Tara Calloway brought this to light on Twitter. There's the shot of Mr. Patrick Shea himself, known in wrestling as Colin West. A lot of people who I know from this chat that I'm in are angry about it. You know, they have worked with the guy. They trusted the guy. Here we go. Indie Wrestling, IWTV. They say effective immediately, no longer affiliated. And here's the, let's see, Synergy website has a statement, and I'll get into this, and then you can give your reaction, DJ Storms. I'm going to keep this short, as I know nothing I say will mean much to many of you. I'm sorry I was not strong enough to break the cycle of abuse. It happened to me as a teenager, and I should have been better. I was not. This is not an excuse. My actions were disgusting. You have every right to be disgusted by them. And I don't even want to read the rest of this sorry bullshit apology. So DJ Storms, I'm going to kick it to you, man. This is kind of your first look at this story. So tell us a little bit about your initial thoughts about somebody like this actually being entrenched in our business.
Well, you are correct. This is the first time that I'm actually talking about this. I really didn't even want to acknowledge it. Truth be told, I really was not even going to talk about it on my normal show, which was going to be tomorrow, obviously at 1 p.m. Eastern time, the Lightning Flash update live stream here on YouTube. But you think that just when you think that we have pretty much rid ourselves of scenarios like this, of these dramatic, disgusting, inexcusable scenarios, these affiliations with people that should not be anywhere near a business like this, or a business in general. Shit like this comes around. I really didn't even know that Synergy Wrestling even existed, to be quite honest with you. This is my first time hearing about it. I've really just been so out of the loop with a lot of things. But my initial thoughts on this, I don't even care to read the apology. I'm not even going to go and read that bullshit. At the end of the day, shit like that, as we know, it's inexcusable. It's absolutely inexcusable. It's absolutely disgusting. And there's a special place in hell for people like that. But at the end of the day, those who have come in contact with the guy and those who have been affiliated with the guy, obviously don't beat yourself up. If you had no knowledge of the situation, don't beat yourself up. You have no knowledge of the situation. You did not know. You didn't get involved. You have nothing to be sorry for. He's the problem, not you. So at the end of the day, look, get him out of there. Cut all ties. And at the end of the day, just continue on with your life. But very, very disgusting, inexcusable scenario, a very, very shocking scenario. And hopefully we can all move past this, and hopefully the victims of this individual are okay. I'm sorry, I can't really hear you. Can't hear you.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, I muted myself while you were talking. Sorry. So I was kind of a little shook up. That's probably why I wasn't sharp enough to unmute my mic. But stories like that, affect everyone on a guttural level. Like, I had a guttural feeling when I read about that news this morning, and just knowing the ages of the victims and the type of attitude that this guy must have to do something like this, and then be in the wrestling business, which is a business that is geared like towards children at a level, especially at the independent wrestling level. They put up flyers all over town. They bring in childhood acts as attractions. I remember when I was a kid, it was always Doink the Clown. Come see Doink the Clown at the local wherever. And he's probably still doing it, the other Doink. So that goes without being said that this guy is disgusting on many levels. And he should be locked up in jail and not come out ever again. So, but hey, look, at least we have uncovered this as a community. I'm not sure who pulled the plug on this or blew the whistle. And I think anybody who's been associated should now obviously disassociate. And it's not your fault. There's no way you would have known who, and I got to give props to the owner of the Monster Factory here in New Jersey. And man, his name escapes me right now. But Monster Factory owner, he was associated with this guy, and he said that he's now going to do background checks even for his school and for his company. Name's Danny Cage. That's right, Danny Cage.
Smart idea.
Very smart idea. And I actually want to read what he put up on Twitter here. It's this is something that is not the same as kind of what happened over the summer. You kind of alluded to that, we thought we were past all this stuff. This is something that has been going on in the wrestling business for a long time. And I don't have the tweets. Danny Cage, of course, is big into politics. I used to talk to this guy back in the day. So here we go. In 2014, I brainstormed about keeping wrestlers safe and how we do so. Was going to be a site featuring workers, promoters, anybody in pro wrestling where they trained, background check and contact info to book, etc. Talking to folks about finally launching. And this is obviously in response to what is happening right now. I'm just as shocked as everyone. Colin West / Patrick Shea, Synergy Wrestling. We will no longer have anything to do with any of them. Plus, it might cost us business, but full background checks will be conducted on anyone renting our building for events starting now. So that's smart, right, DJ Storms? That's something that, is commendable.
Oh, no, absolutely. And it really does. It really does affect me. And I'm sorry if I'm stuttering around. I can't really formulate the correct words to to
It's
talk
all
about
right.
the scenario. Yeah,
It's a serious situation, brother. It's all right, man.
no.
It gets
But
me weirded too.
usually I'm more prepared to talk about a scenario like this, or I'm more prepared to talk about any scenario, period. But obviously, as you alluded to before, you're just so shaken up about the entire scenario. And me, I have worked with Crowbar, who has started a promotion in New Jersey called Rescue Mania, obviously before COVID hit or a year ago. And that specific program was directed towards children. So knowing how I'm affiliated with a promotion that is all about giving back towards the younger generation of professional wrestling fans, and then hearing about this, it really, really is disgusting on incomparable levels. I saw like the little thing underneath my name, the incomparable DJ Stones, but it is very disgusting on incomparable levels. So I do hope that hopefully we can move past this, and hopefully we can start fresh in a sense.
Hell yeah. And we will do that right now because we're going to go to the next story tonight. And that is once again on Fightful, which I'm going to give them a little more props as I did yesterday for the site layout. I hate the pop-up ads, but man, this site just looks nice. And as somebody who ran a site for many years and still do, it still exists. We have tons of content. It's at pwpnation.com. It's not really updated, but there's a ton of cool evergreen stuff up there that you can always go and check out. Just amazing articles from many, many years in the past. And who knows, we might be posting some more fresh articles soon. So I just really like the layout of this site. But this report states NXT planning to introduce their own women's tag team titles. So this comes off, I guess, NXT's false finish weirdness this past week with Adam Pearce being involved. So according to Dave Meltzer, our buddy of the Wrestling Observer, NXT is planning to introduce women's tag team titles to the brand. It should be noted that this was not confirmed as happening, and WWE has not made any announcement regarding the institution of NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. And I guess the article goes on to tell you what happened the other night in NXT. So what are your thoughts here, DJ Storm? Do you think it's smart for WWE to pivot and create another Women's Tag Team Championship?
Absolutely not. I mean, you take a look at the entire landscape of the WWE as it is, and the women's tag team titles from day one, they never meant a damn thing. I don't really care whether you advocated for them or whether you want to hang on to some type of false hope that isn't there. The women's tag team titles right now are meaningless. They mean just about as much as the pigeon shit on New Yorkers' cars. So at the end of the day, putting those titles on Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez and putting them in NXT would be the best possible route to go, because NXT actually has a flourishing women's division. You take a look on Raw and SmackDown, and how many legitimate women's tag teams can you say there are legitimately on Raw and SmackDown? Shayna and Nia aren't even a legitimate women's tag team. They were paired together out of the blue just to go up against Sasha Banks and Bayley to spark up Sasha Banks and Bayley's feud going into Hell in a Cell. So at the end of the day, adding another set of women's tag team titles when the first set wasn't even important to begin with. I mean, you're just adding more championships just for the sake of adding championships. And you're thinking that more is better. More isn't always better. Too much of a good thing ain't going to be a good thing for anyone. So at the end of the day, the best possible route to go would be to give Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez a rematch, considering the fuck finish that we got, the sloppy finish that we got, and the shady finish that we got with Adam Pearce sending a Raw referee out there, and we should get that rematch at WrestleMania. I'm actually surprised that they didn't book the initial match at WrestleMania, but they should book the rematch at WrestleMania, give Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez the tag team titles, have them do whatever they need to do in NXT, give them the Triple H, and let Triple H work his magic and develop some sort of credibility for those championships. Adding NXT Women's Tag Team Championships will do nothing for the brand except overload the company and continue to overload the company with unnecessary championships.
I'm with you, dude. I'm with you 100% on that. I think the idea behind it is to keep the titles on NXT, but not take them away from the main roster. And that's not a great idea. Put them on Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez and let those titles be the focal point of NXT for now. See how it works down there, get more of those tag teams involved, get the reps in, give them something to fight over, some maybe takeover matches down there, something fun to do with the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, they don't have to be rebranded or have new ones that have NXT logos on them. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But I want to give a shout out here to Adam. Awesome video so far, guys. And he also said he hit the like button, which is something that hasn't started happening here yet too often. So we're just in the very early stages of rebuilding this channel, and you guys gave me a lot of likes back in the day, so I want to bring those back. So make sure you hit that like button, and also make sure you visit good old DJ Storm's channel, because he's cranking over 2,000 followers right now on YouTube, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Over 2,000 subscribers for DJ Storm. Now let's pivot a little bit into your YouTube channel. So I've watched your channel kind of evolve. I remember meeting you, I believe, on Twitter when you were under 1,000 subscribers. And you're kind of this annoying kid, kind of liked you, kind of didn't like you. I was kind of intrigued more or less by it. I couldn't figure out whether it was what you were doing was your real personality, or what you were doing was a gimmick, or what if it was a little bit of both. And then I started to understand what you were doing, because I kind of looked at it a different way. I started to see your name pop up more often. And as you know, you go through Twitter, especially the way it used to be when you can get actual, I would say, organic reach, more or less. Now it's not as prevalent anymore, because they put you in these categories that you don't even know about behind the scenes. So you used to have more of an organic reach, and then you kind of like got I think you got banned at one point, maybe an account taken away. You came back. It was a big, it was this crazy saga. You had these like side feuds with these girls, and like all this craziness was going on. So tell me a little bit about that journey, however long you want to take to describe it, from being under 1,000 subscribers, kind of being like the scourge of the IWC.
I still am.
In a sense, but look, man, you've actually built a lot of credibility about yourself, because I've even noticed, I've listened to your shows from time to time, and I'm not a weekly listener. I don't listen to any wrestling podcasts weekly anymore. I'm just done. I've had enough. So, but I've heard your shows, and you're very detailed with the notes that you take. It's obvious that you're taking notes. You're talking about these very intricate parts of the matches and the storyline that not every wrestling fan thinks about, whereas I just shoot off the top of my head because I've been watching it since I was a baby. So like it's commendable. So again, let me just pivot to you and tell us a little bit about that journey from like being the real scourge of the IWC to now having some credibility at over 2,000 subscribers.
Well, my journey from the very beginning, it actually started all the way back in 2017, and I was really just bored out of my mind. And, you know, the things that you do when you're bored, the things that can happen when you're bored, and the things that stem from boredom. I just decided to hop on Periscope, obviously, when Periscope was still a thing. This was on my first Twitter account. I've had like 15 Twitter accounts, obviously. That's like a running gag that some of my fans and me joke about, like, oh, how many Twitter accounts have you had now? I'm like, shut up. So I started on Periscope all the way back on my very first Twitter account, and I decided to go live before the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view of 2017, and it did a fairly decent rating, like around like 10 people watched, and that was okay for me. I was happy about that. So I thought, all right, I'm going to wait, and I'm going to do it again in a few weeks for Fastlane. So I did it again for Fastlane later. It did decent again, and I'm like, all right, fine. If I'm going to do this, if I'm going to continue to do this consistently, I'm going to need something. Because, like, obviously, wrestling analytics is one thing. People are going to watch you for your dissection of a match, a feud, a storyline, a show, whatever it may be. But you need something that the audience is going to latch onto. You need something that the audience is really going to gravitate towards. And thus began the development of the DJ Storm's character. Obviously, I started becoming more comfortable in front of the camera. I started to become more charismatic. I started to really get into it. And originally, the whole concept behind the character was just supposed to be like an anti-hero in a sense. It was just supposed to be me acting like a conceited anti-hero, but like conceited, but to a point where people are going to want to root for me. But then I started seeing a little bit of hate flow, and I thought to myself, all right, you know what? I'm going to run with this. I'm going to run with this, and I'm going to morph myself into a full-blown heel. And when I was under 1,000 subscribers, this was like in the beginning of 2019 when I was like only at 200. And then all of a sudden, I just consistently started putting out more detailed videos, and I really just promoted myself, just consistently put myself out there and really took it seriously going into the summer of 2019. I gained about 800 subscribers within a 4-month period. I reached over 1,000. And I just continued to promote myself. And then obviously I just kind of lost a little bit of passion towards the end of 2019. I really just wasn't feeling myself. I took like a 3-month break. I got into various types of feuds with various types of people, specifically because of the fact that they just take what I do way too seriously. Like, yeah, I put myself out there, and I may make it a little bit difficult for people to tell whether it is a gimmick or not. But at the end of the day, people just need to realize at the end of the day, it's social media. It's social media. You can't base a personal opinion or a personal judgment on just a simple tweet or a Facebook post or an Instagram picture. That's unfair because you don't know what's going down behind the screen. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's social media. So at the end of the day, you can't really take it that seriously. If you're on social media really taking it seriously, then it really does go to show you how little of a life you have. And that's not DJ Storms talking to you. That's Dominic talking to you. If you are so consumed in social media, you need to take a step back. Take a step back, think twice, assess the situation in your brain, and realize that it's really not that important. At the end of the day, I'm not really doing this for money. I'm not doing this to blow up. I'm not doing this to just, get all the traction and attention that I could possibly get. I do this for the same reason that a lot of people do it, just because they love pro wrestling and they like to talk about it. And I don't want to sound too cocky and I don't want to sound too overbearing, but I think I have really earned the title of the most important, the most prominent, and the most vital individual, the most prominent, important, vital content creator that does not get paid in the IWC.
Not yet, my friend, not yet. And we've had this conversation off air once or twice, I think. And you got something here, bro. You got something. You're young, you're talented, you got charisma, you got a character, you got the content, you got the work ethic. And whether it's now or whether it's 10, 15 years from now, you're going to say, okay, that dude, Jay Leto, remember that guy? Because I don't know if I'm going to be around 10, 15 years from now. Who knows? I'm going to get that Bitcoin money. I'm going to take that Bitcoin money and I'm going to disappear, bro. I'm going to go under a new alias and everything. Just kidding. I was just playing. But just for real though, you're going to have something in a time capsule that you can always turn back to and turn it on. And before we go to our next news story, because we do have another news story to dive into, I want to ask you a little bit about the IWC overall. Yeah. Now, I've been in this game since 2007, 8-ish when I started creating content. And, it's evolved in a real negative way. I was actually, when I was a really little kid, I was on message boards when I was like 15, 16, yeah. AOL chat rooms. And back then it was all the same stuff. People don't realize that the war between WWF fans and WCW fans and ECW fans, all of that existed. There was trash talking. People hated each other. They were saying unconscionable things to each other in the 1990s and early 2000s. Whereas now, if you say something like that on Twitter, you're banned, you're thrown off the platform. And we see these IWC members literally hiding behind a fake alias. What I see the most is like a picture of a wrestler, like you see like a Liv Morgan picture or like a Triple H picture. And you're like, what?
I was recently just like DM'd by some loser with an Undertaker Hot Pockets Abby. And he was coming at me just because of my Twitter name, not History Maker DGS, what I have above that, because I have the best above it. And he took offense to that. So just by the fact that it's a dude with an Undertaker Hot Pockets Abby, I had to screenshot it and I had to tweet it just to teach everyone a lesson. And I actually tweeted out, let me see if I can find it. I tweeted out, ladies and gents, don't be this guy. Go to school, get a job, build a future, and don't hide behind a wrestling/pizza Abby. Social media has turned society into a swarm of brain-dead morons who don't qualify as human beings.
That's what I'm talking about. And here's the thing I don't understand about Twitter. And we're going to go to our next news story after this last comment, because we have these blue check marks out there, right? And really a blue check mark isn't a verification of who you are. Because that's easy. Like all the banks do that. They verify who you are. You have to give them.
I should be verified at this rate.
Hell yeah, so should I, dude. I've asked for verification multiple times, and I had one person who said, I can get you verified, but you have to pay me $500 to do it. And I said,
Screw that.
nah, I'll pass, bro. But here's the thing. Banks do it. You're telling me Twitter can't do a simple verification of a human being and put a check mark? No, they don't do it because they need a reason to suppress accounts and to turn people off with a push of a button. And that's what they do. You get banned or suspended from Twitter. You get people who report your content and tweets enough. You're going to be put in a category and your account will die a slow, agonizing death. And you have to fight back in order for it to gain that traction. You have to do it on your own. You have to do it yourself. Hit different social media platforms. Tell them about your account. Make sure they go and take action rather than worrying about what Twitter is doing as far as their algorithms are concerned.
I feel you, man. I really do feel you on that. It really is quite pathetic. Twitter, and to be quite honest with you, I've said this before to many people. If I never created the whole DJ Storms brand, if I never created this character, if I never created this empire that I built, I truthfully would have deleted all of my social medias about like 3 years ago because it really is just a waste of time. I've met some good people on there, but it really is a waste. Oh God, Sean Ross Sapp, the guy in which I live rent free in his head.
That's so weird if that's true, bro. Is that really I like Sean. I don't have a problem with Sean. I've had a few really good conversations in the DMs, and I'll never release them to the public, but some really good conversations in the DM with Sean. I think he's a nice guy. But the problem is there was a few times where I tweeted something and I felt that intentionally trying to get the fan base to come after me, like the cancel culture kind of thing. The same thing. Ryan Satin did the same thing to me. So once he did that, I was like,
trash,
what?
But I used to like Sean.
Yeah, same here. But so I'm gonna stick it to him a little bit here, and more on thigh slapping ban in WWE. Read more on FightfulSelect.com, Patreon.com/whatever. How about this? How about nope? How about we don't use that link and we find his report somewhere else, absolutely free, not behind a paywall. And here we go.
Damn right.
WWE is reportedly fining wrestlers for doing thigh slaps when throwing kicks. I got a quick funny story before I continue reading this. Back in the day, dude, I want to say it was probably 2010 on early days of Twitter. I ripped on Davey Richards for this. I went to a Ring of Honor show and I watched him against Eddie Edwards and they thigh slapped kicks to the head, probably in that match at least 50 times. And they were slapping the bejesus out of their thighs like I have never seen live before. And I ripped on him on Twitter and he started saying like, oh, you paid a ticket to see it, bro. You paid a ticket to see it. What an asshole. Anyway.
Oh my God. That's
fantastic.
It was.
I hate that. So anyway, here we go. It was reported in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Oh, so the Wrestling Observer had this as well as Sean Ross Sapp's Fightful Select, but we'll read about that in a minute. That a story made the round saying WWE was fining wrestlers for thigh slapping when throwing kicks, a practice that goes back decades for added sound effects. Company officials reportedly sent the memo to WWE NXT talents about doing the thigh slaps, and no one has said a word about it since. Furthermore, Fightful Select has confirmed the fines and added that the memo was sent out in February. It was also noted that a sign was up at WWE events last week that had big bold letters saying, no thigh slapping. Damn it.
You gotta be kidding me with
Don't
that.
slap your damn thighs. Hunter, get in my fucking office and you tell those little pieces of shit like Adam Cole to stop slapping his fucking thigh. Oh, God.
What is going through this old geezer's head? Seriously. I'm really struggling to comprehend. I'm legitimately at a loss. I'm always a guy that has something to say because I got a big mouth, but I legitimately do not know what to say. I really don't. What is the difference? What is this going to do in order to make the show and the program better as a whole? And some dude, this goes back to what I've been saying for the last few weeks. At the end of the day, the WWE, especially with the new Peacock deal that they got going on, they just don't care. And the company's going to make money despite themselves. And you know why? Because Vince McMahon, he is undoubtedly the worst wrestling promoter in today's modern era, but he is perhaps the most intelligent businessman that you will find. And at the end of the day, he's going to help make that company money because of his sleazy, sly, slick business tactics. And they're sitting on a nice, hefty cushion of cash right now because of that new Peacock deal. So they could do whatever they want, and the company will continue to make money.
Dude, and here's this story. You're absolutely, first of all, you're 100% correct. Second of all, here's a story from June of last year. Randy Orton, I'm looking forward to working with Tommaso Ciampa. Randy Orton recently spoke with Brett Brookhouse of CBS Sports, yada, yada. Orton had tweeted about leg slaps at NXT TakeOver In Your House event, and Ciampa responded by saying he had used Orton's matches to help put his daughter to sleep. Oh my God. Orton fired back with another shot at Ciampa in the NXT brand. Orton then defeated WWE Hall of Famer Edge in Greatest Wrestling Match, yada, yada. And here we go. So this is Randy Orton's comment from June. So the leg slap comment was just me having fun, and it got taken a little too seriously, Orton said. I've been outspoken about the leg slap because I've seen more and more. First of all, I love Randy Orton. More and more leg slaps. Same with repeating moves. Same with guys using the same move. It's super kick, super kick, super kick, super kick. Or they've got that running knee. Every time any of those things happen, you get a big slap to the leg. That has nothing to do with the state of Tommaso's physical well-being, but there's that style. If you're a talent and you've made it as far as NXT, which is very close to the top of the mountain, if you think that you have to go out there and get power-bombed on the apron after neck surgery, or if you think you have to go out there and do these dives and flips bell to bell just because the fans want to see half a dozen near-death experiences, I feel sorry for you because you're not going to reap the benefits of what this business offers. Whoa. DJ Storms, your thoughts on that diatribe from Randy Orton? I probably missed the story because I don't remember this at all.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't necessarily think that a lot of these younger wrestlers think that they have to go out there and do that. It really is their choice in a sense, but it's just Orton being Orton. He's right to a certain extent, but ultimately, as a whole, it's just Randy Orton being Randy Orton because that's who Randy Orton is. Randy Orton, he is obviously, he's one of the best wrestlers that there's been in the WWE period. But at the end of the day, Randy Orton, he is in a sense a real life jerk off. So this is just Orton being Randy Orton. So you can't really take it all that seriously. That's just who he is.
100%. I love it, brother. All right. So we're at about the half-hour mark. And normally what I do with my guests here on the show, and this is your first appearance on World of Wrestling on the PWP Nation channel. So I want you to drop some knowledge, maybe some advice, maybe something that somebody can take to heart and say, look, I can get 2,000 subscribers in a short amount of time, bro. And that's another thing I wanted to give you credits on is you did it in a short amount of time. It hasn't been a long time, bro. It's a short time. And if you had the ability and wanted to do this for the rest of your life, you would eventually get to that point where you're making the big bucks sitting in your home doing it. You would. You don't have to go that route, obviously, but you would. It's just the fact
I'm going to be graduating college in May. I'm going to be sitting in a cubicle doing a lot of journal transactions. That's why I got this suit on right here. I'll be your accountant, bro.
You look like $1 million. And with all the money I'm going to be making soon, I'm going to need a trusted accountant. And you can, better call DJ Storms and we will have your commercials, your advertising right here on the channel. But I digress. Back to this final question. Give us some practical real life advice. If somebody wants to, get disciplined and do something consistently to maybe start creating content or do what they've always wanted to do and have never really taken that step. Drop some knowledge for us, DJ Storms.
Well, you actually just took one of the words right out of my mouth. The first thing I was going to say is the first thing everyone should be focused on is consistency. Consistency is key when you are going to be a content creator. Map out a schedule, come up with certain dates and times to put out to your audience. That way they know when your next video is going to come out, the date, the time, the place, when it's going to come out, what you're going to be doing in it, and consistently promote it. That's number 2. Number 1 is consistency. Number 2, promotion. Constantly promote it on all platforms of social media. Encourage your audience to share out your videos. And that way, not only will you be promoting it, but your fans will ultimately be promoting it as well. And then, of course, networking. Networking is extremely, extremely vital. Build connections, build connections. That way you can collaborate with many other people that have the same interests as you, whether you want to do debates, whether you want to do predictions, reviews, previews, whatever it may be. Number 1, consistency. Number 2, promotion. Number 3, networking. And if you follow those steps, I'm telling you, this entire, there we go. That's another thing. Constantly map everything out and take notes. And if you consistently promote and network, I'm telling you, you could very well be looking at a very, very successful career.
Hell yeah. I love it, man. I couldn't have said it any better myself. And I thank you for sharing that with all of us. And this is going to hopefully continue on into the future. More of DJ Storms here on the PWP Nation channel. We got a lot of work to do
with DJ Storms.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. And we got a lot of work to do here on the road to WrestleMania. And we will be here again next week on World of Wrestling. So just to kind of, allude to what this show even is, I just thought of this on a whim yesterday. I had the logo sitting around from a few years ago. I don't know who made it. I don't know whose idea it was originally. And I was like, you know what? Let me use this logo. So here we are, World of Wrestling episode 2, finishing it off with DJ Storms. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. And when is your next show? Tell us what we can look forward to on the channel.
Well, my next video, well, actually stream, obviously is tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time, right here on youtube.com. It is going to be the Lightning Flash update. We got a lot of material to talk about. Including NXT, yes, is moving to Tuesdays. I'll be talking about Vince McMahon apparently furious. There we go. Apparently furious about the recent WrestleMania plans being leaked. And on top of that, Cesaro is apparently being saved to feud with Roman Reigns after WrestleMania. Of course, my most recent video right over there took place earlier today. The rundown for AEW Revolution with one of my day one A1s, Mr. Earl Cole. We dissected every single match going down in just 2 days on Bleacher Report Live on Revolution. You can follow me on Twitter at HistoryMakerDJS. Follow me on Instagram as well at DDJStorms. Add me on Facebook for collaborations and business inquiries. Send me an email. My email is stormstakeover@gmail.com, like the official DJ Storms business page. And I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook, where only the elite members of the DJ Storms Posse members reside. Of course, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, it is, of course, the best time to be on YouTube. The only time you're going to get to see this glorious sideburn shin strap combo and this beautiful mustache right here, because everybody wants a piece of the Storms Meister. Jay Leto, thank you very much for having me on. I greatly appreciate it. Hope to do it again very, very soon. And major announcement right here on PWP Nation. I would like to announce that on March 19th, in just 2 weeks, Mr. Jay Leto will be making his return. Yes, your mic's off, by the way. Yes,
It's on. I'm just speechless.
I'm speechless. He's going to be returning to the DJ Storms channel for the rundown for WWE Fastlane, March 19th, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Set your calendar dates, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's do it, baby. I'm excited, brother. All right. Thank you, DJ Storms. We're out of here. I will talk to you guys probably Monday, but I might jump on here this weekend at some point. I'm terrible at the schedule thing. It's a great piece of advice. Listen to this guy, but I'm terrible at it. But I will talk to you guys later. Peace.